No sell. That's what a player wrote on a kid's card after he signed it for the kid. And now the kid's family says that that player ruined the card and they're mad about it. Are they in the right or the wrong? We'll debate now. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode of Cards on the Table. Teapot Doug, it's nice to be back with you in person today.
Yep.
We got a lot to talk about. We have one of the most destroyed cards you will ever see that has sold for $17,500. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but first, let's talk about another card that some collectors are claiming was destroyed or at least ruined by a player who they had autograph it. And the story here is this goes with a player named Chase Davis. So Chase Davis is actually one of the top prospects in the St. Louis Cardinals minor league system. He's one of their top 10 prospects. He's currently playing for their AA team, probably will be in the majors in the not too distant future. And so he, of course, has trading cards. He's got Topps cards, he's got Bowman cards, all those things. So at a game recently, a young fan who, according to his family, spent his own money buying the card, a kid, bought one of Chase Davis's cards and took it to the game hoping that Chase Davis, the player that he loves, would sign the card. And he was able to get Chase Davis's attention, and Chase Davis comes over, and Chase Davis takes the kid's card and even asks the kid his name, and he signs the card, and then he writes on the card in big letters, "No sell." And he hands the card back to the kid. The kid's looking at it going, okay, that's kind of interesting. Well, the family members who were with the kid, they're mad. In fact, the kid's uncle who posted about some of this, the kid's uncle says that Chase Davis ruined the kid's card. That's the words he used. He ruined the kid's card, and he's upset about it, upset that Chase Davis would do this. This started a whole thread of reactions on Reddit and on social media. One commenter said that Chase Davis does this all the time, that this is what he does when he signs cards. And he says that he's part of a new wave of players that think that everybody asking for their autographs is asking just to sell it and to take advantage of them. And so therefore, they've now started doing stuff like this, writing stuff like this on cards. Another commenter, though, said, I don't think the player did anything wrong at all. It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of a bit of a personalized, one-of-a-kind inscription. And if the kid was going to keep this for his personal collection anyway, then why does it matter that it says no sell on the card? Tons of debate about this online. And I started thinking to myself, you know, guys, one of my most prized cards in my possession is a 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card, signed by Jordan, one of my favorite cards. I've got a lot of Jordan signed cards. Now, I didn't get him to sign it myself. That would have been cool. Of course, I bought it from somebody else who got him to sign it. But what if that card said no sell or do not sell on it? How would I feel about it? Would that completely devalue the card? Would I not want it anymore? Or would I actually be totally fine with it and still have it as a very proud part of my collection? Might somebody even spend more money if the card says, you know, do not sell on it and has a Michael Jordan signature? What do you think of all this, Teapot? What do you think of the athlete writing no sell on the card? What's your opinion?
I'd like to know what they're teaching at University of Arizona, because no sell, how about don't sell or NFS or something? But I don't know, it's players' prerogative, right? They say don't meet your heroes for a reason. I will say this was a $1 to $2 card. So I think little Johnny or whatever is going to be okay. We could, probably send him another one if he needs a copy of that card without the auto on it. I don't think it hurts the auto or the value at all. And frankly, the value of it isn't going to be that high anyway. For that particular pro debut refractor with his auto on it, it's not like that's going to make him rich or retire. So there's just some like overall irony with that situation. But I do think it's possible it makes it more desirable to some people, especially if this becomes like his ego, his persona that he always puts this on cards. Well, it's just the standard auto, I guess, in that case. I'd be more upset if I were the little boy or his grandfather or uncle or whoever it was, that the actual auto just looks like the whirlwind around the Tasmanian devil and doesn't actually even closely resemble the player's name. I don't know. I don't know how I'd react if somebody did this on, my autos. I also don't know how I would react if I were an athlete and everywhere I go, everybody's just shoving a marker in my face, handing me things, asking me to sign them. I have a lot of admiration for the players like Giannis and others who take time for the fans every game, who recognize and realize that without the fans, they don't get to play the games they love and make millions and millions of dollars. But each player gets to decide what type of person they want to be to the fans, and then the fans get to decide whether or not they want to like that player in return. So I will say one thing is still for sure true. Jackson Merrill, still a big fat panda jerk with his autos, so not a fan.
Okay, so Teapot doesn't really have an issue with this. This is interesting. Doug, would you ever buy a card from somebody that says no sign on it? Does that mean you actually can't, or no sell on it, I should say? Does that mean you actually can't sell it? You can't buy it? What's your thoughts on this?
That doesn't mean anything. And I would buy that. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty interesting to kind of look at both sides of this, and I see both sides of it. My take is, the first thing I think of is there's different types of autograph collectors, right? They're the guys that stalk athletes and have stacks of cards or memorabilia or posters or whatever, and they're getting 20, 30 signatures with the sole intent to flip those. And I think that's kind of gross. I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. I don't like it whatsoever. This doesn't seem to be that situation, right? This seems to be a kid who bought a ticket to the game and is going to go and try to get this autograph. Now, of course, buying a ticket doesn't entitle you to an autograph. And if I'm Chase Davis, I don't think I really have the clout to be writing no sell on my cards. That's a little presumptuous, but at the same time, that's his prerogative. It's not really going to matter at the end of the day. If that card might actually, let's say Chase Davis ends up being great. He's one of the best baseball players of all time. He'll end up signing numerous top stickers and on-card autos, and it might be a chase one day to get one of Chase's original no-sell cards.
Yeah.
That might be a whole set of autos that people try to pursue, right? So there could be an element to that that's actually pretty fun. So I don't really think that ruins the card. And if you had a no-sell Jordan, that'd be really rare. Not anybody else would have that.
No sell Bo Jackson, no sell
it would be kind of cool. Yeah, we could make it kind of it might actually backfire on the players because the no sell might actually make the card more sought
after. I think they're
after.
better off writing to Johnny.
Correct.
And then signing it.
Why didn't he do that? And there were some people in the comments on the Reddit thread that was discussing this, where people were saying if he asked the kid's name, which supposedly he did according to the family account, why wouldn't he have just written the kid's name on it? Doesn't that achieve an even greater effect while still giving the kids something of value to them?
Yeah, I would think so.
Isn't that the solution?
It sounds like the kid got a fan interaction with the player, which in and of itself is kind of priceless. That's a cool thing. So it's nice that he stopped. I don't know, maybe in his mind, he's not even thinking about it as like a thing that would be controversial.
He could have been trained to do it that way. Maybe he has an agent that's like, preserve your word. There's a lot of possible variables that go into that. So I don't really hold it against the player. I think if I'm him, if I'm in this exact spot, I sign the kid's card exactly how he wants it to be signed, and I'm fine. If he had a stack of 20 things, maybe I sign one of them, and maybe I write no sell on it if I'm in a bad mood. I don't know.
Look, I had a very strong opinion and take on this show several months ago when you had that situation with the kid at the Spurs game who had the cute little sign and got Victor Wembanyama's jersey, game used at the end of the game from Wemby, and then the next day that thing is being shipped off to Golden Auctions to be sold at an auction, right? I was so furious about that. And the reason why I was so angry about that is because I was like, the more this happens, the more it's going to screw it up for everybody else. And it's kind of that, right? This is kind of an example of that. Like, you've got athletes now that are actively thinking about, if I sign something, am I signing it only so this person can go resell it and profit off of it? I kind of hate that that's the fact, especially when it involves kids. Especially here, you got a kid who just has a cheap card and just wants to get an autograph from, a player he likes at the no sell. Whatever. It is what it is, and hopefully the kid still loves that card for his personal collection and gets some joy out of it. I hope so too. All right, we got to talk about another card that truly is destroyed, but sold for almost $20,000. But first, let's look at some cards that are in perfect condition, not destroyed at all.
Hopefully.
We're gonna rip some Arena Club slab packs as we do every week. Doug, let's start with yours today. We're gonna go. What pack did you go with?
Basketball again.
You did an Emerald basketball.
Yeah, I've got the finals itch.
All right, here we go. Who we got?
We got Ja.
Didn't you hit him recently?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Another card?
I hit another Ja.
You're in
Number
Ja
to 5.
here.
That's
Number
a
to-
Ja.
okay,
Number to
number
5. That's
five.
not
Panini
bad.
1-1.
Not bad from Panini 1-1. You know, his market's down right now. Maybe there's a little rebounds next year for him.
Yeah, I got to tuck that one away.
That's not bad. Number to 5. All right, Teapot, what pack did you do
I did
this
baseball.
week? Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's good. Baseball in swing.
Yep.
How about a little Cags card here?
Well, let's see.
Oh, what is this?
Oh, sick. Travis Bazzana and Chase Burns, dual gold auto PSA 10.
gold.
Dude.
Those guys are both top 15 prospects.
Bazzana
Probably
was
some
like
of the
Bazzana
soon-
was like the top guy in Bowman.
They're both.
I mean,
very,
Bazzana
they're
Cags
both very
was
top.
Yeah. Burns is a big name too.
That's pretty nice.
Gold
Dual
refractor,
auto.
dual
Wow.
auto PSA 10.
I'll take that.
I'll trade you.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I trade you as well. I don't even know what I got.
You're
I'll
blind
trade
trading
you.
over here.
Give me that.
right.
Give me that. All right, I did a football. So let's see what we got from Emerald Football this week.
Bryce
Okay.
Young?
Bryce.
Okay, Bryce Young, Prism Red, Bryce Young, PSA 9. I don't mind that card. I actually think Bryce Young is
He bounced back a
maybe.
little last
I think
year.
he's a little under the radar right now. I don't mind. I actually like that card. I think Bryce Young might be a little bit of a buy right now.
Hey, speaking of trades, last week you hit that Trevor Lawrence downtown.
I did.
I tried trading you an Anthony Richardson color blast. I didn't hear back from you. What happened?
I got your trade offer.
I thought it was going
I'm
to
still
be
sitting on it.
Okay, I thought it'd be
still,
quick.
I heard that if you sit back and you just play it slow, that sometimes the trade offers get better. So hopefully you get a little bit better. All right, guys. These slab packs are available all the time in the Arena Club app and on arenaclub.com. And here's the best part. If you use promo code SCI20, you will get 20% off your first slab pack purchase. It's a lot of fun. So download the Arena Club app and use promo code SCI20. And while you're there, check out the weekly auctions. There's all kinds of good cards being sold in Arena Club's marketplace every single week. Okay, let's jump to our next story, guys. I told you we had to talk about another destroyed card. This one of a little bit of a different variety, the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. Now, on this program before, we have featured other Mickey Mantle sales. We featured record sales. We've talked about sales of some of his, low ends as well. This one, I think, and we're going to bring it up on the screen, this is got to be the worst conditioned 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle that I have just about ever seen. I mean, this thing has been through the absolute ringer. It is a true PSA 1. And I mean, just a baseline 1. It's as 1 as you can possibly get. Yet despite that, this card sold for $17,500 on eBay just 2 days ago. And by the way, the Mantle market has been hot. There was a PSA 1.5 Mantle that sold for over $50,000 a couple of weeks ago on eBay.
That's wild.
Yeah, a 1.5 sold for over $50,000.
That's real wild.
We've seen a PSA 3 sell for around $62,000 plus. Some have gone for higher than that as well of the 3s in recent months. SGC 5 recently did over $100,000, and SGC 5 did $106,000 on Golden like a week or two ago. The 52 Mantle market is hot. Teapot, what do you make though of this $17,500 sale for this PSA 1?
There's got to be worse ones out there. I think it's an authentic. That's what I'm seeing.
That's what I was
Not a
looking at,
one.
too.
Oh, is it an authentic?
It's authentic,
Yeah.
but same thing. It's definitely a 1. Somebody just put it in an authentic slab. So,
Well, they might not have. PSA might, if it's so bad,
Yeah.
PSA won't even give it a 1 at
yeah,
times.
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty beat up. I've seen some with holes in them. Of course,
Yeah,
we've
pins,
seen
yeah.
we've seen the famous Hannes Wagner that's like ripped in half. We've seen a lot of stuff. I think half a card is worse than a beat up whole card, which is what this one is. So I don't know. Here's what I'd say. It's not for me. I wouldn't want a card that's that annihilated in my collection. There are people who really like these types of cards. There's somebody here. We put, of course, all our employees on the wall in our lunchroom, pictures and what they collect. And somebody here collects PSA 1s. He likes PSA 1s for his PCs, so that's interesting. And on like ultra modern stuff, like just beat ups, I guess they'll like go run a card over and then send it
is
to
that
PSA.
Rob?
I don't know. No, I forget who it is. I don't know if it's Leighton or it's one of the guys on the TCG team. But I don't personally like it. I would rather have more good-looking cards of maybe less prestigious than like a card like this. This one looks like a, I don't know, a French bulldog slept within its mouth overnight or something.
It's kind of rough.
Super
pretty
specific.
rough. Yeah.
All right, Doug. So T-Bot just told us and told the audience that he's too good for a $17,500 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. Are you too good for this card too, Doug, or are you more of a man of the people here?
I will not be taking that approach. I mean, relatively speaking, I think it sounds like a pretty good deal. If you look at PSA 1s, which is just about as bad as it gets, they're going in the $30,000 range. Authentic, of course, can mean just about anything. It can mean a wide array of condition. But I've seen this card. I've seen PSA 1s of this exact card as well. You're getting the card for half price. I'd rather, at that point, if you don't have $30,000 to get a PSA 1, which I definitely do not, what's in your budget? Do you have $17,500 and you can go get a copy of this super iconic card? I would rather have a beat to hell copy of this card for half the price of a card that looks almost as bad as a PSA 1 in a PSA 1. So I don't think the condition was really that big of a difference to be worth twice as much in a 1 versus authentic. So, if I'm looking at it, I think it's a pretty decent deal.
All right.
I want it.
I'm going to be a little snooty. I'm going to agree with Teapot here. Here's why. Here's my thing on
You're
this,
in a
right?
different tax bracket. You
Well,
don't have to look at $17,500 authentic cards.
That's not my point here though. Like if I had, let's say my budget to buy an investment card was $20,000. I got $20,000 to spend. I would rather spend the $20,000 on a card that's got a lot more eye appeal. Even if I'm going to go vintage, you can get a really nice looking 1954 Topps Hank Aaron card in a significantly higher grade than a 1.
How about a 51 Bowman
Yeah, what are you
PSA
looking
4
at? PSA
Mantle,
4?
$20,000.
You see, I would much rather do that. I would much rather do that. Get a 51 Bowman Mantle.
True rookie card.
Yeah, PSA 4 for $20,000. And then if I really want to get that 52 Topps Mantle at some point in time,
Save up.
I got to save up. I got to save up, get if you can get $50,000, you can get a really nice presenting copy, still very, very low grade, but a nice, much nicer presenting copy than this one that sold for the 17.5.
I've seen some SGC2s that just have like the slight rounded edges with good centering, great registration, and then like issues on the back of the card.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They would be like, I mean, they'd be more than this.
Yeah, but you could get those for less than $50,000.
Those are going to be like 35, 40.
There you go.
And
all right, Doug, save your pennies.
Save your pennies.
Save your pennies.
We combine our powers.
Pennies are done.
Let's get you one of those. Guys, I want to talk in the next story. We're going to go to the opposite end of PSA's grading scale, and this one's a little bit controversial. There was a Reddit user who recently shared his grading experience with PSA. He sent off an Ellie De La Cruz card, not a high-end card, just a just kind of a base type of card. Sent it off to PSA, came back a PSA 6, which really surprised this user. He wasn't expecting a 6. He we definitely would never have submitted the card. Card wasn't worth submitting to get back as a 6. But he looked at it and he's like, I don't understand why they gave it a 6. I don't see what's wrong with the card. I can't see anything wrong with it. So out of curiosity, using his words, he cracked the card out of its PSA 6 holder. He resubmitted the card to PSA and he said nothing about doing any type of altering or doctoring or cleaning or anything. He submits it to PSA, it comes back at PSA 10. And I would say that's quite the unusual jump, except for the fact that in the comments of some of the posts about these cards, there was story after story after story of people who also got PSA 6s and submitted them, resubmitted and got 10s, or people who had 5s and resubmitted and got 9s, or one guy who had a 5 and resubmitted and got a 10. So people are saying this is maybe a little more common than you would think. Doug, I know we've, talked a lot on this show about the subjectivity of grading. Does this just prove that grading is all over the map, or what is your take when it comes to this?
All right, so I've tried to keep up with the conversation surrounding this particular instance, and every conversation I've seen is just hammering PSA about it. If for no other reason than to drive our comments mad, I'm going to take up for PSA on this.
Ooh,
whoa, all right.
It's human error. We have humans grading cards. This isn't AI, it isn't computers, it's humans, and they are capable of making mistakes. PSA is on track to grade 20 million cards this year. If they were to screw up 20,000 cards, sounds like a lot, that's 0.1%. That would leave them with a 99.9% accuracy in grading. Seems pretty good. You can't ask humans to be 100% perfect at that volume. So I think there's going to be mistakes. It's going to happen. That said, we don't know the full circumstances around this either. When this guy says he was curious to see if he got a better grade, maybe he was curious to see what some Kurt's card carry could do. We don't know.
What could it do for that Mantle?
We truly don't know. Like, I'm sure it's totally legit. I'm not accusing the guy of anything. And it probably was just a mistake by the grader. Maybe it was a mistake when they labeled it. It could have been anything like that. The one big problem I have with this, and I'm not taking up for PSA here, is they have a service where they'll review grades. You send them the card in the PSA slab, they'll review it, and if they think it's worthy of a better grade, they'll do it, but they're still going to charge you another grading fee. And I do not agree with that. If they can see that they made a mistake on the original grade and it deserves a better grade, you can't charge somebody again. You made a mistake, you got to own it.
They probably charge them because it takes time for them.
Otherwise,
I guess.
they get
Yeah, but
zillions
you
of
screwed
people
up.
resubmitting the cards. But I
Yeah.
hear you. It's almost
Yeah.
like
Okay,
it's
but-
almost like you should charge them if you review it and it gets
That's what I'm
rejected
saying.
as the same grade. But
Yeah,
if they
exactly.
give you a new grade, don't charge.
That's 100% what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Maybe you could even say that it has to be a certain delta, like skip a grade.
Yeah,
like
6 to 10.
Like if a 9 goes to a 10, you charge them. But if an 8 goes to a 10, you don't charge them.
You
Maybe there's
acknowledge
something
a
like that.
mistake. Yeah.
Maybe you can build in
Interesting.
something like that to protect your business a little bit. But I don't agree with you
Okay.
make a mistake this egregious and then you charge this guy again another grading fee.
Okay. Is Doug right that this is just, we got to give PSA and the grading companies the benefit of the doubt. There's going to be some degree of human error, and this type of thing should be accepted within reason.
I will say that's a good point. I think it's a fair point. And I'll also say, LOL, like this happens all the time.
Yeah, it seems
it
to.
really does. I've seen this countless times and had countless people tell me that they have had situations like this with all the grading companies. So forget PSA, literally all the grading companies, because human error. And this is like, one reason why, we've talked about it before, I like what some of the companies are doing. Tag, I think Arena Club, some computer vision, some stuff to augment at least the process to try to remove some of that human error. But when these graders, and this may be a shock to those who don't know it, are only spending somewhere between 30 and 45 seconds with your card, per card, and making an evaluation, there's going to be errors. This is exactly why I believe that the insane premium on PSA 10s is something that I don't have an appetite for in my PC, because I value my own opinion and my own assessment of the eye appeal of a card more than the professional opinion of somebody looking at the card for 30 seconds who does 1,000 cards a day or something crazy as part of their 8 or 10 hour shift. I did a video on the Market Movers channel where I graded every video from a Breaker's Delight Topps Chrome baseball box. So 1 pack. And I
Graded
sent them
every
off.
card?
Every card, yes. And I looked at them before I sent them. I didn't touch them. I literally didn't microfiber. They went straight into penny sleeve and into a semi-rigid and off to PSA. Through a bulk submitter, by the way, Joe Davis's service, not with my name on it, because when they came back, I had one in particular said, oh, this thing's got tons of surface issues, a refractor. And I said, this is a 7, 8 at best. Came back a PSA 10. And so did 3 or 4 other cards in that submission that to me did not look like 10. So it was the other end of the spectrum. And while everybody else is like beating up on PSA saying they're grading so much harder now, ironically, these cards came back, again, without my name. Even the comments were like, oh, it's because you work at SCI. So I think there's something to be said for all of that volume and just looking at what these companies are doing. And Doug makes a good point. There's a human error element, but that's why to me it's sort of ironic that like we put all our hopes and dreams and faith into these numerical grades. Somebody's gonna make a mistake, and they do at times. You just had an Instagram reel that you put out with Reeves and Harrison of that Jaden Daniels card. That was a PSA 6 or a 5?
I think he had a 5.
Mosaic 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you probably looked at, send it back in.
I actually had a personal experience last year of a 6 going to a 10 at PSA. I submitted a bunch of cards off. I got them back. One was a PSA 6. It was a Trevor Lawrence rookie card. And I was like, how the heck did this get a 6? And I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it and looked at it in the slab. I couldn't figure out how I got a 6. I cracked it out of the slab. And I then was looking at the card in light. And I did notice that if you turn the card where you were looking at it basically almost right on the edge and you look down the surface of the card, the surface was splotchy. It had this really weird, however it came out of the print finish.
Like a residue?
It was like almost like a residue. It was like splotches on the card that would only catch if you angled it towards the light and looked at it from like, a 80-degree angle. Then you could see splotches. If you looked at it head on, the card looked perfect. So I microfibered it down. I did it again. You could still see the splotches, maybe not as super as well, but you could still see them. They were finished in the card surface. So I was like, I'm going to submit this again and just see what happens. Because unless you catch it right at that angle, everything about the card looks absolutely perfect. Corners, edges, centering, surface, if you look at it straight on. And even if you tilt it a little bit. Resubmitted to PSA, came back PSA 10. So the second grader didn't catch it in the light at that exact same angle that the first grader caught it at, and the first grader knocked it down 4 grade points for that, and the second grader didn't. Yeah. That could have been what happened here. It could have been the same thing. It could have been that if you hit that in this certain angle at this certain light, you can see some surface, finish issue. And if you just look at it like that, you don't see it. Yeah. That's my guess as to what happened.
Doesn't that then call into question the subjectivity of the numerical grades themselves? And you look at a PSA 6 vintage card, and then you look at one of these cards, and you say, this isn't, is it relative to itself and the best? Because I've seen PSA 10 Pop 3 vintage cards that don't look like 10s. Yeah. They just don't, and that yet somehow they received a 10. I'll say one thing. Sometime, hopefully just before the National, I'm going to have a video coming out on the Market Movers channel that is going to expose the grading industry. Oh, no. This is going to be a jaw dropper.
All right.
We will be talking about it on this channel. Everybody will be talking about it.
All right.
It's coming, and it's about a month out, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Going to be fielding phone calls from PSA tomorrow morning.
What's going on?
After this goes out. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
What are we doing? It's not anything specific with any particular grading company. It's the grading industry.
All right. Teapot trying to...
Got somebody in the whistleblower protection program.
Mess it up, Teapot. All right. Okay, guys, final topic today. Fanatics Fest is next week. All 3 of us are going. Yeah. Super excited about going to Fanatics Fest. I know you guys are as well. Well, they just announced this week that they are going to have a Museum of Greatness at Fanatics Fest, New York 2025, a 10,500 square foot exhibit of elite sports cards and memorabilia valued at over $200 million. They're going to have sections of the museum, a section on GOATs, a section on rising stars, a section on women in sports, barrier breakers, entertainers. You're going to have everything from Babe Ruth cards featured through Mickey Mantle, all the way through Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, up to Shohei Ohtani, and everywhere around. All kinds of very high-end cards, a lot of high-end memorabilia, a lot of one-of-a-kind pieces. Teapot, does this make you more excited to go to Fanatics Fest next week?
It actually does. I think this is really cool. There's going to be some pieces there, specifically the cards, to see those things in person. A metal Gem Masters Jordan. That's pretty sick. One of one. Just a lot of noteworthy items and cards here that you've seen. So it just fits. It fits the theme of the whole event. It's cool to see them showcasing some of those incredible cards. I think that's a great way to ignite some passion for people who just aren't as familiar with cards too. They're not going to necessarily know right away what they're looking at, but assuming there's some kind of little description or something that explains it, even just other people who are more familiar will probably want to share their zeal for what these people are looking at. I think it's really cool. Very excited about the event, and I will definitely be checking this out.
All right. How about you, Doug? Are you going to beeline for this museum when you get to Fanatics Fest next week?
Sounds great. I have, looking at it on the surface, it sounds like it's going to be amazing. 10,500 square feet. That's probably around the size of our store, like our retail space. So it's going to be pretty massive.
It's going to be big, yeah.
20 different installations. You named a few of them. I'll be excited to see what else it is, if it's all sports specific or specific players. Really looking forward to the GOAT exhibit, the greatest of all time stuff. They claim there's going to be a lot of stuff that's never been seen before.
Yeah.
Memorabilia or items that have never surfaced. So very excited to see what that might entail. The only thing, as I look at this that I'm not super thrilled about is there's an entertainment section. So that might be not sports related, which is probably, knowing them, it's going to be about 50 Travis Scott items and
a couple Star Wars cards.
Hard pass on that, perhaps. But yeah, we'll see what
Taylor Swift
that
wax
looks like.
statue.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Overall, very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it as well. There's 2 things I'm disappointed about. One is I did not see Tim Tebow listed amongst the GOAT athletes for the GOAT section. Very
tracks.
strange omission.
That totally
Like,
tracks.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? They could have contacted me, by the way,
Yeah.
and I would have been able to help them fill the damn museum with all my Tim Tebow cards.
One
We
of
could have
these
had an entire
Florida Gators nobody remembers now.
We could have done that. We could have had a whole section. It would have been great. The second thing is the one card that I actually would care most about seeing in this museum that Topps has in their possession.
I know where you're going.
But they don't have it on the list of cards they're going to show. Bring the USA Basketball triple auto and put it on display at Fanatics Fest. Let's see it. Show it to the world.
Prove it's real.
Prove it's real. It's sitting in a vault.
That would be pretty funny.
It's sitting in a vault at Topps headquarters. The redemption is lost in the Postal Service and will never be found. It will never be redeemed. All of these bounties unredeemed. Give this card the light of day and show it to the world at Fanatics Fest. Come on, Topps.
You know what would be really cool?
Come on.
Is if one of those cards that's never been seen before was the Curry Superfractor.
No, that'd be nuts.
That would be
That
insane.
just popped up.
If somebody
that would
had
actually
it
be
and
nuts.
somehow
The
it
Luka
was
Black
like,
101.
They would have to
They
tease
probably
that much
wouldn't do
harder.
Luka's a Panini card.
Right.
You know, I don't know that they would do that, but it would be pretty cool if it's like literally a card that's never surfaced but secretly is.
Ooh. All right, we got a little to look forward to next week. What card would you like most to see in the Fanatics Fest Museum? Let us know in the comments. And guys, don't forget to go get that Arena Club app. Open those slab packs and most importantly, use promo code SCI20 for 20% off your first Arena Club purchase. Thank you guys for watching and we'll see you soon with our next episode. Take care.